Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. I hope you enjoyed that little beginning montage, or the beginning of the video, that little montage of the coffee shop kind of scene. For the rest of this video, as you can tell by the title, I am going to share some of my favorite books. I have a small little list. I feel like I have a much longer list of books that are sitting on my shelf that I still need to read, that are sitting in my Amazon cart that I still haven't bought yet. There's kind of like a pattern, I feel like. But they're all just kind of random picks. I'm not like ranking them or anything. These were all just books that I found really interesting. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get started. First book on my list is this Lenny Bruce autobiography, How to Talk Dirty and Influence People. So this is like super random and very particular, but I'm a really big fan of The Marvelous Miss Maison. Luke Kirby does such an amazing job portraying Lenny Bruce. If you guys don't know who Lenny Bruce is, basically he was a very controversial comedian from the 1950s time era. I found his autobiography extremely interesting, very charming. I really enjoyed it because he was so controversial. I really wanted to know what made him controversial. I liked it. Would highly recommend if you're familiar with him or if you've seen the show or anything like that. But I really enjoyed this one. Yes, 10 out of 10. The next book on my list was recommended to me by a fellow bookworm, and it is Black Buck by Matteo Ascripor. I'm probably mispronouncing that so poorly, and I apologize. I don't know how to pronounce it. What a book. I could not put this down. I read this during like our snowpocalypse last winter. I think it was last February. I read this in like 2 or 3 days. This was such a good book, and the twist at the, it was so good. It is about this guy in New York who works at a Starbucks, and he works in the Starbucks of a lobby of this big like marketing tower. And so one of the people from the marketing agency like recruits him, and then it just goes on a whirlwind on how much his life has changed because of money, and then the people that he meets, and how two-faced people are in the industry, and all this kind of stuff. I don't really know how well to describe it, but it's such a great book. Highly recommend. You should definitely pick this up. 10 out of 10. Love it. Really great. I'm gonna have all these books like linked down below too, if you guys would care to, check out or order them, because they're all really great. This one I read a few years ago, and I love the hardcover, and I like that it's kind of slightly worn on the sides too, which just makes me love it even more. But it's The Moth Presents All These Wonders, True Stories About Facing the Unknown. Really interesting. All these, different short stories that are true short stories, really make you think, and I like books that make you think. In fact, a couple of the books on my to-be-read list is another one of The Moth Presents All These Wonders. I found out recently that there was another book, so I was like, oh, I'm gonna have to get that one, and then a few other books. I really like books that make you think, that they're thought-provoking, and I think it's even more endearing the fact that they are all true stories, and just to kind of put yourself in those person's shoes. There were definitely a couple that really upset me because I didn't agree with like how things were handled. But I feel like that's what books and like art are meant to do. They're meant to spark discussion and emotion. And this was definitely one of those books. It was really good. I got so many questions about this when I was reading it, and I recommended it to like everybody. Really good, just like a life book. So highly recommend this one. Just kind of like a think outside the box. Life is more than what is let on, I guess. I don't really know. I'm so bad at describing it, but really great book. Highly recommend. All right, moving on. We are halfway through the stack already. This, little bit of a cliche, The Catcher in the Rye by J.D. Salinger. I have had this copy since 8th grade. I am a romantic, so previously like the hardcover book kind of worn in. This book is very well loved because I've had it for, do I want to date myself? 14 years? 15 years? Look at, it's so beautiful. Like, does anybody get excited about the book smell? Or like the font. I just like being taken into a different world. It's great. Similarly to the Lenny Bruce book, I am drawn to controversy, like I said, and when I was in middle school and I heard more about this book, I was really curious as to why a book written in this time period was still seen as such, so controversial that it was being banned. And naturally, I was like, okay, I want to read the book. And I remember I really didn't even think it was that big of a deal. One of my favorites, I mean, just always, you have to love the classics, but I like this book, I really do. I just love Catcher in the Rye. I feel like it was a very pivotal moment in my journey as a reader and a writer. Influenced me a lot, and I just love it. It's a really special book. Next on the list is Charles Bukowski, What Matters Most is How Well You Walk Through Fire. This was recommended to me by a friend of mine, and I have never read anything by Charles Bukowski until now. And we were talking about poetry because I believed that poetry was never really my thing. I thought it was too, I know there's different types of writing and poetry, but the poetry you think of when someone says they read poetry is, you know, a certain kind of like tone, I guess, to it, more like romantic or whatever. At least to me, I see it a certain way. So I was like, poetry's not really like my thing. I just haven't really read any poetry that I really like. And she was like, well, I know you like Catcher in the Rye. I feel like you would like Charles Bukowski. It just made me laugh how good of a suggestion this was, because the tone is so similar to me, like Salinger. Like when I was reading through this, I just cracked me up because I was like, this sounds like Salinger. I really enjoyed it. A lot of these poems made me laugh. So Charles Bukowski's great. He has so many books, like so many books. I have a bunch in my Amazon cart that I have not gotten yet, but if you are like me and don't care for the typical type of poetry, I guess, whatever that may be, I would recommend Charles Bukowski. The last on the list, we're ending with a big one, okay? Where the Crawdads Sing, Delia owns. This is the best damn book I have read in such a long time. This book is so good. And for some reason, well, it is starting to get more buzz now because they're turning it into a movie. If you are interested in this book, please read it. I don't know if the movie is gonna do it justice. I hope to God it does, because it's such a great book. But the twists and the story and everything that happens, I love this book. It is such a good book. You guys have to read this one. Okay. For years, rumors of the Marsh Girl have haunted Barkley Cove, a quiet town on the North Carolina coast. So in late 1969, when handsome Chase Andrews is found dead, the locals immediately suspect Kaya Clark, the so-called Marsh Girl. But Kaya's not what they say. Sensitive and intelligent, she has survived for years alone in the marsh that she calls home, finding friends in the gulls and lessons in the sand. Then the time comes when she yearns to be touched and loved. When two young men from town become intrigued by her wild beauty, Kaya opens herself to a new life until the unthinkable happens. Perfect for fans of Barbara King's Lover and Karen Russell, Where the Crawdads Sing is at once an exquisite ode to the natural world, a heartbreaking coming-of-age story, and a surprising tale of possible murder. Owens reminds us that we are forever shaped by the children we once were, and that we are all subject to the beautiful and violent secrets that nature keeps. By God, this is such a good book. Buy this book. You won't regret it. It's very well done. Do not wait until the movie is out, because we all know how movie adaptations of books typically go, and this is just like, this one cannot be slept on. You need to read this. It is so good. You can thank me later. If you've already read it, you know what I'm talking about. But this book really just made me get excited about reading again. So those are just a few of some of my favorite books. Let me know what your favorite book is down in the comments. Thank you so much for watching today's video. Give it a thumbs up if you liked it. Don't forget to subscribe. I will see you in the next video. Bye guys.